Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss a problem which is dynamic array. Dynamic array, this problem is very special and is a little bit confusing. We can say this problem is published in data structure on Hackerrank, but it's very confusing. To me, it takes a little bit of time to solve it. So let's dive into the problem. The first line tells us declare two-dimensional array n empty arrays, and all arrays should be zero indexed. So we have to create a two-dimensional array of n empty arrays. So n is defined here at 2. So we have to create two empty arrays. That should be 2D. And then we have to declare an integer, which is last answer, and initialize it to 0. And then we have two queries in the next line. So the query is 1 space x and space y. So this first element in the query tells us what to do, what not to do. And the second, if the value is in the query is first value is in the query is 1, then we have to perform certain operations. And if the value in the first element in the query in a query is 2, then we have to do certain operations. So let's understand what are the operation. The first operation we have to do is we have to create a variable index. We have to assign a variable index, which will be the XOR of the last answer, which is equal to 0. We have initialized with the middle element. First element, we can say this is the first, this is the second element of the query. So the second element XOR with last answer and modulus of the size of the empty array, which is n, is gives us the idx, and then we have to append this integer y to the last element, which is y, to arr idx. And if the first element will be 2, we have to do the same thing in the with the first line, but we have to assign the value arr idx with this operation, which is y percent y modulus of size of array to the last answer. So last answer will become this whole thing, and then we have to store this new value to the last answer and print it. This is basically the question. It was a little bit confusing, but now let's understand through an example. The first line is n is equal to 2, and the second is 5. So there are 5 queries. First element is 1, and we have initialized the last answer is equal to 0. Now the x is 0, 0 XOR with 0, 0 XOR with 0, percentage of modulus of 2, which is basically arr 0. So this value will come out as 0, and this arr 0 will be assigned a y is 5, 5 will be assigned to arr 0. And again the last answer remains the same, 0. And then we will do the same thing in the next query, because the next element is 1. Next query, first element is 1. So now you can see we have done the append, we have append the last the y is 7, and do the modulus and perform the operation, and we find out like error of 1 is equal to 7. And this we have to do. And the query 3 is little bit different. Query 3 is the first element is 2. Now we have to perform the same operation, but the first line is 1 XOR with the last answer. Last answer is 7 in this case, which has changed up 7. Sorry, it is last answer is still 0. And then we will assign this error 1 to the last answer. Now the last answer becomes 7, and the whole array looks like this. Similarly, the query 4, and this was the problem. Now this is basically the algorithm I have. So this is the algorithm. We can see uh, this is the algorithm in the function dynamic array. We have to declare a 2D array, and then we have to create a variable last answer and initialize it to 0. And then query consists of 3 elements, as we know, q, x, and y. Q will tell what operation to perform. X and y, x represents the XOR operation, and y will we have to append or insert. So if q is equal to 1, we are going to perform this operation. IDX is the XOR operation followed by modulus and dot append y. So this is the first query when q is equal to 1, and if the query will be first element of the query will be 2, then we have to do this operation, which is y modulus of length of array, and store that one into the last answer. So last answer will assign to something like this thing, and then we have to print the last answer. Now let's move again back to the Hackerrank website, and now I have already done the coding. So this is the coding part. So we have declared a last answer as 0. Have declared a 2D array. Actually, that could be the first line, and then we are traversing through the number of queries, and then we have just declared x and y 2 variables, which is through the second and third element of queries. And if the queries I0 is equal to 1, if the first element is 1, then we have to perform the operations, appending operations. And if the query first element will be 2, then we have to assign the some sort of this type of operation to the last answer. Then we are going to print answer. Let's go and run the code. Already run it. Again run the code. Now you can see our sample output is 7.3 and expected output was 7.3. Hope you will find this one as interesting. This is a very good problem, but it was very confusing and it was not written very well. But hope so you are going to solve it. Thanks a lot.